It's early in the morning. You're enjoying your first sip of coffee, scrolling through your phone, and there it is, a message or a comment that feels like a punch to the gut. Suddenly your mood shifts, and what was supposed to be a peaceful start to your day now feels tainted by someone else's negativity. We've all been there, right? That one harsh comment or toxic interaction can linger in our minds far longer than any kind words we've received, like an ink stain that refuses to wash out. But here's the thing. You have the power to decide whether that stain ruins your day or not. Dealing with toxic people is a universal challenge, but how we choose to respond can make all the difference. Marcus Aurelius, a wise Stoic philosopher, once said, "When another person blames you or hates you, or voices similar criticisms, go to their souls, penetrate inside, and see what sort of people they are. You will realize that there is no need to be racked with anxiety, that they should hold any particular opinion about you." This profound wisdom teaches us that it's not about allowing others to dictate our emotions, but about seeing beyond their actions and recognizing that their negativity is often a reflection of their inner struggles, not ours. So how do we handle these toxic encounters without letting them diminish our peace? How can we respond in a way that protects our energy and helps us grow stronger? Today we're going to delve into 11 smart strategies inspired by Stoicism to help you not just survive toxic interactions, but thrive despite them. Stick with us as we explore each point and learn how to shield ourselves from negativity while fostering inner resilience. Number 1. Self-awareness. Self-awareness is essential when dealing with toxic people, as it allows you to understand your emotions and reactions instead of being controlled by them. Imagine a situation where you're at work, and a colleague makes a subtle yet cutting remark about your recent project. You feel that familiar sting of frustration, anger, or even self-doubt. This is a natural human response. But what if, instead of reacting impulsively, you took a moment to ask yourself, why did that comment affect me so much? When you cultivate self-awareness, you begin to recognize your triggers and understand why certain behaviors or comments impact you more than others. Perhaps the colleague's criticism touched on a deeper insecurity you have about your work or abilities. By being aware of this, you gain insight into your emotional reactions and can better control them. Self-awareness doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing your emotions. It means understanding them. It's about identifying the thoughts and beliefs that fuel your reactions. When someone behaves in a toxic manner towards you and you react defensively, it's often because you've allowed their words or actions to affirm a negative belief you already hold about yourself. But when you're self-aware, you realize that their behavior is a reflection of them, not a reflection of your worth. Consider a time when a friend made you feel small or belittled you in a conversation. Maybe they were always quick to point out your flaws or criticize your choices. If you react without self-awareness, you might feel anger, resentment, or sadness. However, by taking a step back and asking yourself why their words affect you so deeply, you might realize that their criticism taps into an old insecurity or fear of not being good enough. Once you understand this, you can choose to respond in a way that doesn't give their negativity power over you. For example, you might decide not to engage with their comments, knowing that their criticism isn't a reflection of your capabilities, but rather a projection of their own insecurities or struggles. This shift in perspective helps you maintain your inner peace and prevents you from being drawn into their toxic energy. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, wisely noted that most of our suffering comes not from external events, but from our interpretations of them. When you become self-aware, you start seeing toxic behaviors for what they are, attempts by others to transfer their pain or frustration onto you. Instead of taking it personally, you can view it objectively, allowing you to respond calmly and rationally. In real life, this might mean that the next time your toxic friend makes a belittling comment, instead of snapping back or internalizing their words, you remind yourself that their negativity says more about them than it does about you. You might even feel a sense of compassion, recognizing that they are acting out of their insecurities or frustrations. Developing self-awareness doesn't happen overnight. It requires consistent effort and reflection. One practical way to build this skill is to practice mindfulness. taking moments throughout your day to check in with yourself and observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Over time, this habit will help you become more attuned to your emotions, making it easier to navigate interactions with toxic individuals without letting them affect your inner peace. By becoming self-aware, you essentially create a protective barrier between yourself and the toxicity around you. You gain the ability to choose your response rather than being dragged into someone else's emotional turmoil. This newfound clarity enables you to maintain your sense of self-worth and stay grounded even when faced with negativity or criticism. Number 2. Forgive, but remember. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It's about letting go of the bitterness and resentment that can weigh you down while keeping the lessons learned close to your heart. Suppose you have a friend who betrayed your trust by sharing a personal secret. Initially, you might feel hurt, angry, or even humiliated. Over time, you may choose to forgive them, acknowledging that holding on to grudges only harms you. However, this doesn't mean you simply forget what happened. You remember their actions as a reminder of their tendencies, so you can be cautious moving forward. Forgiving but remembering is crucial when dealing with toxic individuals because it allows you to move forward without exposing yourself to the same vulnerabilities. It's about finding peace within yourself and not letting someone else's actions control your emotions or your life. For example, if a colleague once took credit for your work, you might forgive them to avoid harboring resentment. However, you would also be more vigilant in future collaborations, ensuring you have a clear record of your contributions. This way, you avoid being caught off guard again and maintain your emotional balance. The concept of forgive but remember aligns with the Stoic principle of learning from every experience. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about seeing things as they are and accepting them. When you choose to forgive, you're accepting the reality of the situation without letting it define your future. Remembering, on the other hand, keeps you informed and prepared, ensuring that you don't repeat the same mistakes. This balanced approach helps you grow stronger and more resilient, as you're not weighed down by grudges, but remain wiser from the experience. Forgiving while remembering also means you're in control of your narrative. You refuse to let someone else's actions become the defining chapter of your life. Instead, you acknowledge what happened, learn from it, and move on with a renewed sense of self-awareness. This mindset shift allows you to engage with toxic people without losing yourself in their negativity. You understand that their behavior speaks more about them than about you, and that realization empowers you to maintain your peace and integrity. Number 3. Emotional stability. Emotional stability is the ability to stay grounded and composed, even in the face of negativity. When dealing with toxic people, they often try to provoke reactions, attempting to shake you out of your calm. Imagine you're at a family gathering, and an overbearing relative makes a snide remark about your career choices. In the past, you might have responded defensively, or let their words ruin your mood. But with emotional stability, you develop the inner strength to remain unaffected, seeing their comment for what it truly is, a reflection of their own insecurities or frustrations, not a valid critique of your life. By practicing emotional stability, you learn to pause and assess the situation before reacting. This gives you the power to choose your response rather than being dragged into an emotional whirlwind. For instance, if a coworker tries to undermine you during a meeting, you might calmly address their point without letting their negativity affect your confidence or professionalism. Instead of retaliating or allowing their behavior to unsettle you, you maintain your composure and continue to present your ideas clearly. This not only preserves your dignity, but also sends a message that you're not easily rattled. In real life, emotional stability can be likened to being the eye of a storm, calm, centered, and unaffected by the chaos swirling around you. For example, when someone cuts you off in traffic, your first instinct might be to react with anger or frustration. However, an emotionally stable person would take a deep breath, recognize that the incident isn't worth their energy, and continue driving without letting the encounter ruin their day. It's about understanding that you can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. A helpful technique for maintaining emotional stability is to practice mindfulness, which allows you to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. This helps you recognize when you're being triggered by a toxic person and gives you the space to choose how to react. You can mentally distance yourself from their behavior, reminding yourself that their actions don't define your worth or happiness. By doing this consistently, you develop a resilient mindset that shields you from the negative influence of others, allowing you to navigate life's challenges with grace and poise. Number 4. Setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is essential for protecting yourself from toxic influences. Without clear boundaries, you risk allowing others to take advantage of your kindness, time, or emotional energy. Picture this. You have a friend who always expects you to be available whenever they need help, regardless of your own schedule or commitments. You've canceled plans, stayed up late, or even put your needs aside just to accommodate them. And each time you feel more drained and resentful. By setting boundaries, you're essentially saying, I respect myself enough to protect my time, energy, and well-being. You're letting others know what behavior is acceptable and what isn't, which helps maintain healthy relationships. In the case of the demanding friend, you might say, I'm happy to help, but I need advance notice, or I can't stay up late tonight, but I'm available tomorrow afternoon. This way you establish clear expectations, which makes it harder for others to overstep your limits. Setting boundaries isn't always easy, especially if you're not used to saying no. You might worry about how others will react or fear being seen as unkind. However, boundaries are not about being mean or selfish. They're about ensuring that your needs and well-being are respected. When you establish boundaries, you're teaching others how to treat you and demonstrating self-respect. One real-life example of setting boundaries could be dealing with a toxic coworker who constantly offloads their workload onto you. Instead of silently shouldering the extra tasks, you could say, I have my own responsibilities to handle right now, but I can help you with this part when I'm done. This response communicates that you're willing to assist, but not at the expense of your own duties. It prevents you from becoming overwhelmed and ensures that your colleague doesn't take advantage of your generosity. Remember, setting boundaries isn't just about what you say, it's also about enforcing them consistently. If someone continues to overstep your boundaries, you might need to take further action, such as limiting your interactions with them or, in extreme cases, cutting them out of your life entirely. By doing so, you're prioritizing your mental health and well-being, which is a key aspect of dealing with toxic people effectively. Number 5. Energy intelligence. Energy intelligence involves being mindful of where you direct your time and energy. Toxic individuals often drain others by constantly complaining, creating drama, or manipulating situations to center themselves. Let's say you have a coworker who frequently vents about their personal problems, leaving you feeling emotionally drained after every interaction. Despite your efforts to provide advice or support, they never seem to improve their situation, and you end up feeling exhausted. Energy intelligence means recognizing that your time and emotional resources are limited. It's about choosing to invest them in people and activities that uplift, inspire, and energize you. Instead of spending hours listening to your coworkers' negativity, you could politely excuse yourself from the conversation or redirect your energy toward more positive interactions with others. This shift in focus allows you to conserve your energy for things that genuinely matter to you, like pursuing your passions, spending time with loved ones, or engaging in activities that bring you joy. A great real-life example of energy intelligence is deciding to limit contact with a toxic family member who always brings negativity to family gatherings. Instead of engaging in arguments or trying to change their behavior, you might choose to minimize your interactions or maintain only superficial conversations. By doing this, you protect your emotional energy and prevent yourself from getting dragged into their toxic patterns. Practicing energy intelligence also involves identifying your own energy leaks, such as negative thought patterns, unproductive habits, or relationships that drain you. Once you recognize these leaks, you can take proactive steps to address them. For instance, if you notice that you spend hours scrolling through social media, comparing yourself to others, and feeling inadequate, You might decide to limit your screen time or follow accounts that inspire and uplift you instead. By developing energy intelligence, you become more intentional about where you direct your focus and attention. This empowers you to navigate your interactions with toxic people without getting drained or overwhelmed, ensuring that you have the energy to invest in things that truly matter to you. Number 6. Focus on goals. Focusing on your goals is a powerful way to protect yourself from toxic influences. When you have a clear sense of purpose and direction, it's much easier to avoid getting sidetracked by negative people or situations. Toxic individuals often thrive on drama, gossip, or trying to pull others into their problems. If you're not focused on your own path, it's easy to get caught up in their chaos. Imagine you're working hard on a personal project that means a lot to you, whether it's starting a business, pursuing a degree, or training for a marathon. Along the way, you might encounter people who try to undermine your efforts. They might say things like, "Why are you wasting your time on that?" Or, "You'll never succeed." These comments can be discouraging, but when you're deeply connected to your goals, they lose their power over you. A personal example might be a time when you were determined to lose weight and improve your health. You started eating better, exercising regularly, and staying disciplined, but there was always that one friend who would say, "Oh, come on, just have a piece of cake." Or, "Why are you being so strict with yourself?" It's tempting to give in, but focusing on your goal helped you stay on track. Over time, your progress became undeniable, and you proved that you were capable of achieving your dreams despite others' negativity. Staying goal-oriented means that you're prioritizing what's important to you, not what others think you should be doing. It's about recognizing that your path is unique and that you don't need anyone else's approval to pursue what matters to you. Every time you accomplish a small step toward your goal, you're building resilience against the negativity that others may throw your way. One effective strategy to maintain your focus is to regularly remind yourself of your why, the deeper reason behind your goal. Why do you want to start your own business? Why is it important for you to complete that degree? By revisiting your reasons, you reinforce your commitment and build a mental shield against toxic influences that try to pull you off track. By focusing on your goals, you create a filter that helps you distinguish between what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Toxic people will often try to distract you, but when you're laser-focused on your goals, their negativity becomes just background noise. You're too busy building the life you want to waste time on their drama. Number 7. Seeking support. Seeking support is an essential tool in dealing with toxic people, as it helps you stay grounded and resilient. Toxic individuals often try to isolate you or make you feel as though you're alone in your struggles. They may manipulate, gaslight, or try to convince you that no one else understands what you're going through. This is why building a network of positive, supportive people is so important. Think about a time when you were dealing with a toxic person, maybe in the form of a boss who constantly criticized your work, or a friend who always seemed to bring you down. During these tough times, you might have turned to someone you trust, a family member, a partner, or a mentor, who offered you a different perspective, validated your feelings, or simply listened without judgment. That support made you feel less alone and more capable of handling the situation. For example, imagine you're dealing with a coworker who always seems to belittle your contributions during meetings. Instead of internalizing their negativity, you reach out to a trusted colleague who helps you see that the problem isn't with your work, but with the toxic person's insecurities. This outside perspective not only validates your experience, but also gives you the confidence to continue contributing without doubting yourself. Building a support network doesn't mean you're weak or incapable of handling things on your own. It means you're smart enough to recognize that everyone needs a little help sometimes, whether it's seeking advice, sharing your experiences, or just venting your frustrations. Having a support system reminds you that you're not alone in facing toxic challenges. Additionally, a strong support network can help you set healthy boundaries with toxic people. When you're surrounded by people who uplift and encourage you, you're less likely to tolerate mistreatment from others. You gain the strength and confidence to stand up for yourself and assert your worth. knowing that there are people who genuinely care about your well-being. Number 8. Control of negative self-talk. Negative self-talk can be just as damaging as the toxic words of others. In fact, it's often the internal dialogue that keeps us trapped in toxic relationships or situations. When you constantly tell yourself things like, "I'm not good enough," "I deserve this treatment," or "I'll never succeed," you're reinforcing the very beliefs that toxic people want you to have. Imagine you're facing criticism at work. Your boss points out a mistake, and instead of seeing it as an opportunity to learn, you immediately start thinking, "I'm terrible at my job," or "I'll never get anything right." This kind of self-talk not only damages your self-esteem, but also makes it easier for toxic individuals to exploit your insecurities. To counteract negative self-talk, start by becoming aware of your thoughts. Pay attention to the words you use when you talk to yourself, especially in challenging situations. When you catch yourself thinking something negative, challenge it. Ask yourself, "Is this thought really true? What evidence do I have to support it?" Often, you'll find that your negative thoughts are exaggerated or based on assumptions rather than facts. For example, if you're telling yourself, "I'm not good at public speaking," remind yourself of the times when you've spoken confidently in front of others, even if it was just a small group of friends. Reframing your thoughts helps you break the cycle of negativity and empowers you to see yourself in a more positive light. Real-life examples might include reminding yourself of your strengths and achievements whenever you're faced with a toxic person who tries to undermine you. By focusing on what you're good at and acknowledging your accomplishments, you build a stronger sense of self-worth that's harder for others to tear down. Controlling negative self-talk isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about being kinder to yourself and recognizing that you deserve respect, both from yourself and others. As you cultivate this habit, you'll find it easier to navigate toxic situations without internalizing the negativity, allowing you to stay confident and resilient. Number 9. Solution-oriented approach. Adopting a solution-oriented approach is crucial when dealing with toxic people. Rather than fixating on the problems they create or the negativity they bring, this mindset shifts your focus toward finding practical ways to handle the situation. It empowers you to take control of your response instead of being dragged into endless drama or conflict. Let's say you have a colleague who always finds a way to criticize your work, no matter how well you perform. A problem-focused approach might involve dwelling on their negativity, feeling frustrated, or even doubting your abilities. But a solution-oriented mindset prompts you to ask, "How can I handle this situation more effectively?" Perhaps you start documenting your achievements, seeking feedback from others, or even having a calm, assertive conversation with that colleague to address their behavior. A real-life example could be dealing with a toxic family member who constantly makes you feel guilty for not spending enough time with them. Instead of getting defensive or feeling overwhelmed by their manipulation, you could find solutions like setting clear boundaries. "I can't make it this weekend, but I'll call you on Monday." Or redirecting the conversation to more positive topics. This approach allows you to maintain control over the interaction without getting sucked into unnecessary arguments or guilt tripping. Being solution-oriented also involves recognizing when a situation is beyond your control and knowing when to step back. Sometimes, the most effective solution is distancing yourself from a toxic person, whether it means spending less time with them, limiting your interactions, or even cutting ties completely if they're causing significant harm to your well-being. The key to this approach is maintaining a proactive mindset. Instead of waiting for the toxic person to change, you take responsibility for how you handle the situation. This doesn't mean you're condoning their behavior. Rather, you're choosing not to let it disrupt your life. By focusing on solutions, you transform from a passive victim of toxicity into an empowered individual capable of navigating challenging situations with grace and resilience. Number 10. Avoid unnecessary arguments. Engaging in arguments with toxic people is often a losing battle. They might thrive on conflict, enjoy provoking emotional reactions, or simply refuse to see things from any perspective but their own. Therefore, avoiding unnecessary arguments is one of the smartest ways to protect your peace and sanity. Think about a time when you found yourself in a heated debate with someone who was determined to be right, no matter what. Perhaps it was a friend who always had to have the last word, or a family member who turned every conversation into a contest. In these moments, it's easy to get drawn into the argument, feeling the need to defend yourself or prove your point. But after all the back and forth, did you ever feel like you truly won the argument? Probably not. When you choose to avoid unnecessary arguments, you're not admitting defeat or letting the other person win. You're simply deciding that your peace of mind is more valuable than winning a pointless battle. Marcus Aurelius himself suggested that it's not the opinions of others that matter, but how we choose to react to them. If someone is being irrational, confrontational, or just looking for a fight, the most powerful response you can give is often silence. For example, if a coworker tries to provoke you by making snide comments about your work, instead of firing back, you can calmly respond with, "I appreciate your feedback," and then move on. This approach leaves them without fuel for the argument and shows that you're not willing to stoop to their level. Avoiding unnecessary arguments doesn't mean you're passive or avoidant. It means you're choosing your battles wisely. You're conserving your energy for situations that genuinely matter, rather than wasting it on people who aren't interested in finding common ground. Over time, you'll notice that toxic individuals are less likely to engage with you because they know they won't get the reaction they're looking for. Number 11. Detection of false cordiality. Detecting false cordiality is a crucial skill in dealing with toxic people. These individuals often wear a mask of friendliness to manipulate, deceive, or use others for their gain. Recognizing when someone is being disingenuous helps you avoid falling into their traps and protects you from potential harm. Imagine a colleague who always praises you in public, saying things like, "You're doing such a fantastic job," but then takes credit for your work behind your back. Or perhaps it's that friend who showers you with compliments when they need a favor, but suddenly becomes unavailable when you need their support. This kind of false cordiality can be confusing because, on the surface, it seems like they're being kind or supportive. However, their actions reveal their true intentions. One way to detect false cordiality is to pay attention to inconsistencies in their behavior. Are they only nice to you when they want something? Do they seem genuinely interested in your well-being? Or do they quickly change the subject when it's not about them? Toxic individuals often struggle to maintain their facade, and over time, small cracks will start to show. Another indicator is how they respond when you set boundaries or say no. A genuinely caring person will respect your limits, while someone with false cordiality may react with guilt-tripping, anger, or passive-aggressive behavior. For instance, if you decline an invitation to a party, a true friend might say, "No worries, maybe next time," while a toxic person might respond with, "Wow, I guess you're too busy for your friends now." Real-life scenarios might include colleagues who suddenly become your best friend when there's a promotion on the line, or family members who are only nice to you during the holiday season when they need financial help. Recognizing these patterns helps you protect yourself from being exploited or emotionally manipulated. The goal isn't to become overly suspicious of everyone around you, but to develop a keen sense of discernment. When you detect false cordiality, you can choose how much energy and time you invest in that relationship. You might decide to maintain a polite distance, set firmer boundaries, or even remove that person from your life if they prove to be consistently toxic. By becoming more attuned to the subtle signs of false cordiality, you regain control over your interactions and prevent toxic individuals from taking advantage of your kindness. This awareness allows you to cultivate more genuine connections with people who value and respect you for who you truly are, rather than what they can gain from you.